In this video for the Advanced SQL series, we'll be working with nested aggregate functions. So we'll have a subquery in the from clause that has aggregate functions, and we'll have aggregate functions in the outer query. We'll be working with the HR schema for this video. Sometimes it's necessary to embed one aggregate query, a query with aggregate functions, inside another aggregate query, and that's what's referred to as a nested aggregate query. As with other types of subqueries, the aggregate subquery decomposes a problem and creates a solution for part of the problem statement. And so we'll look at our example here to start with. We're going to look at some aggregate functions collecting data about employees by department. So looking at the SQL statement, we're looking at the department ID and the department name, and then we're counting the number of employees and looking at the sum of salaries, average salary, minimum salary, maximum salary. In each one of those I have assigned a column alias. We're working with the departments and the employees, and we're grouping by department ID and department name. So next, we'd use a simplified version of the previous query in the from clause of this outer query. And so we have an aggregate function in the subquery that's being used in the outer query. So we see the subquery in blue, and it's showing department ID, department name, and a count of the number of employees in each department. We're using that data in the outer query to get a sum of all the employees, a count of the number of departments, which would be the number of rows in the subquery data set, and then we're getting an average employee count. And when we run that query, this would be the result. Total employees 106, department count 11, our average per department is 9.6. So I would like to say that given our fairly simple tables and data, it's actually pretty hard to come up with a meaningful example for this nested aggregate. But in real life, you will find that you will use nested aggregates because you'll have a lot more numeric data and a lot more data. So this is a simple and not all that real-world example, but you will be working with nested aggregates if you work with databases. So we've looked at a simple example of a nested aggregate. And why would you want to do a nested aggregate? Whenever you find yourself trying to do a function within a function, you may find that you want to build a nested query before you do the final aggregate output.